Before we go any further, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon, because without their help, none of this upgraded content that you'd be seeing would be possible. Over on the Patreon, you get exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming videos. You also get access to the Patreon only Discord server. Coming up soon, I'm going to be working on talking about other anime that I can't talk about here on YouTube, like say ReZero, Konosuba, and etc. I'm also going to start posting the scripts for video essays, and every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul. We also are going to open up the Patreon only Discord server to YouTube members at the $2 price tier, which also means that members will be seeing their name here alongside the patron. But with that being said, let's get back into today's video. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another review for Sasuke Retsuden Chapter 7.2. And now that Chapter 7.2 is done in the books, we got a lot to talk about here because the carnage has just begun in this latest chapter. We got a few things that were included from the light novel, as well as some things that were cut out. We got the Edo Tensei running wild, we got the manhunt from Zanzuru, and we got that babyface to heel turn from Gigi that happens in this chapter. There are a few things in the chapter that makes me pretty confident that some of the stuff that the anime cut is going to be shown in the next chapter or two that we get for the manga. In particular, that moment where we see a completely bloodlusted Sasuke, the moment he runs into Gigi, which I'm highly disappointed the anime cut that out to show Sasuke as Mr. Nice Guy in the anime. So with the initial thoughts out of the way, let's back things up and let's get into the review. So the chapter opens up where the last one left off, with the Edo Tensei running amok through the prison, with one of them carrying a dead prisoner's stiff body in its mouth with drool dripping down the teeth, which is a really nice shot to start off the chapter. It's then that we see Sakura punch her way through the wall, and after ordering the prisoners to escape, we see a wicked display of strength when Sakura punches down on the skull of a 2,000-pound Pachycephalosaurus, but she doesn't send it flying across the courtyard like she did in the anime, but instead she punches it down into the ground with enough force that it shatters the skull, which is equally impressive given that the skull of a Pachycephalosaurus is 20 times thicker than a normal dinosaur, which, to give you a further reference of how thick that is, a Pachycephalosaurus skull is 30 times thicker than that of a human skull. It really makes you wonder if Hokage Naruto would have CTE if adult Sakura punched him like she did when they were 12 years old. But jokes aside, we as Naruto fans, we aren't shocked. She did break Kaguya's horn with the single punch. Sakura then tells the prisoners to leave out through the hole in the wall that she created. What we see next is right from the light novel, with a few changes that are made, where Sakura doesn't waste time going through the front entrance, but instead begins jumping up in the air and bouncing off parts of the building and making her way to Zanzuru's office window and shattering it so she can enter. Now, this is a slight change from the light novel. So in the light novel, Sakura gathers chakra at the bottom of her feet, and while wearing a pair of high heels, she begins running up the wall of the building up to the office, and she kicks in the window. I wanted to point that out because it's a nice callback to what we got in the Land of Waves during the tree climbing training that Team 7 got with Kakashi, and how Sakura pretty much flexed on Naruto and Sasuke by having better chakra control than both of them, and making that goofy face when Kakashi ribbed Naruto and Sasuke for being behind in chakra control when compared to Sakura. We've gone from that to Sakura doing the same thing she did back then, only now she's wearing high heels. So in this regard, I do prefer the novel version to what we got in the manga, and definitely the anime, which is a side note. When you read the novel version, there are a lot of small goodies that are packed into the story that if you're a hardcore Naruto fan, you see a lot of Easter eggs that directly tie back into the Naruto franchise. We then see Sakura set down the polar particle inside of Zanzuru's office, and she quickly begins searching the office for evidence that he's the one behind the reanimation jutsu. She's checking the drawers and she's going through the bookshelves, but she isn't finding any concrete proof, which leads to her heading to the stairwell after checking a few more rooms in the office. For context, the reason why Sakura thinks that Zanzuru is hiding out of plain sight is because if you recall, during the 4th Great Ninja War, Kabuto made a point to keep himself out of sight, mostly so he could focus on controlling a large number of the Edo Tensei. So we see Sakura connecting prior intel that Konoha knows about Edo Tensei and trying to apply it to the situation. However, before she can go fully into her search, she bumps into Gigi after she tells the prisoners hiding to leave from the prison. After Gigi tells Sakura a lie about Zanzuru being in the courtyard, Sakura's radar goes off on how strange it is that Zanzuru is doing the exact opposite of what she and Sasuke believe a caster of such a widespread Edo Tensei would do. It's then that Gigi pulls Sakura in close, and we see a pretty good set of panels where Sakura's eyes, they go from stunned to confused to outright scared. All great uses of anticipation panels, building to that impact shot of Sakura with that poison-laced knife that's in her back. The one thing I do hate about this scene that both the anime and manga cut from the novels isn't the fact that Sakura thought that Gigi was being creepy here, but rather it's the desperation that Sakura felt, and it wasn't because she realized that she's been hit with the same poison that Minnow used on Sasuke. That's not the case. So in the novel, when she sees Gigi take back the polar particle, her thoughts aren't about herself. They're not even about Sasuke. They're about Naruto, because at the end of the day, this is a mission that was meant to retrieve one half of the polar particles, meant to cure Naruto of his chakra illness. And Sakura gets so upset and desperate because if Gigi gets away with it due to Naruto's condition worsening, she's afraid that Naruto's going to run out of time, and Sakura begins to start beating herself up over this. And I love that part from the novel, and I'm really disappointed that was not in the anime and that was not shown in the manga, but the manga's done a good enough job capturing stuff correctly. I'm not going to get super upset over it. There have been changes, but at the end of the day, it's an adaptation. So it's then that Gigi reveals that he's working alongside Zansuru, and they allowed Sasuke and Sakura to run through the prison thinking that they were doing so undetected, when in reality Gigi is watching them from the inside, which is a nice callback to the basic fundamentals what Kakashi taught Team 7, which is that a ninja must see through deception. Behind that goofy nature, Gigi was a shinobi who was gathering intel and waiting on the right opportunity to strike and steal the polar particle that they found. Gigi then kicked Sakura in the mouth and weaves the required hand seals to break the seal on the polar particle and summon a giant dragon beast taller than the entire prison itself that literally begins to start destroying the courtyard. And after it headbutts the prison and begins to topple it, Gigi rides off on top of its head and Sakura is unable to move, being buried beneath the rubble. Now, what I'm going to be very curious to see next is how the manga handles the other things that are cut out from the light novel, because there are some significant things here that are cut out that really do wonders for the character development of Sasuke and Sakura. So let me explain. So take for instance Sasuke's fight with Minnow, where he uses that pseudo ice release. There's a change made to both the anime and manga. In the light novel, Sasuke is attacked by Minnow after he confronts Zansuru, and Sasuke begins to use Amaterasu on him because now that he's been outed as a shinobi by Zansuru, there's no point in him hiding his true strength. But Sasuke, upon inspecting Minnow's body, realizes that this version of Edo Tensei is different than the one that he knows because the wounds aren't healing. Whereas in the anime, Sasuke and Minnow end up fighting earlier on. Sasuke uses that pseudo ice release much sooner than he does in the light novel. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because Sasuke in the novels, thinking back to how he watched Itachi as an Edo Tensei take attack after attack and regenerate, and realizes that if he used Amaterasu on Minnow, that Minnow would basically be suffering the entire duration that the Amaterasu was burning. And it's because he's thinking back to Itachi that he starts getting pissed off and saying that the dead shouldn't have to suffer at the whims of the Edo Tensei caster. And that's when he used the pseudo ice release on Minnow to win over his trust by cooling that wound on Minnow's body, and then he breaks the Edo Tensei brainwashing. What the anime and manga haven't shown us that the light novel does a good job of actually capturing is that Sasuke and Sakura both, they still have some, for lack of better words, trauma when it comes to dealing with Edo Tensei. Allow me to explain. So Sasuke saw his brother Itachi as an Edo Tensei being misused, even though Itachi was acting of his own accord. It's still the fact that he saw Itachi in an unnatural light. He saw Itachi being brutalized by Kabuto in that fight. Sakura, on the other hand, saw Zabuza and Haku being misused and how much it affected Kakashi when he had to strike them down after seeing Zabuza and Haku begging Kakashi to end their suffering as Edo Tensei in the manga version, with Haku specifically shedding a tear in the manga around the time that Zabuza says that they died as humans and that they're being used in an unnatural way and that they need to be put out of their suffering. Sasuke and Sakura in the novel both see these dragon beasts and they take pity on the Edo Tensei, and they feel intense rage towards Gigi and Zansuru for what they've done. I do hope that coming up the manga keeps Sasuke struggling with his bloodlust, because Sasuke is getting very pissed off as things progress at this point in the story, and I hope that they keep the Sakura versus Gigi fight, because the anime cut out the bloodlust and it didn't exactly deliver on the Sakura versus Gigi fight. However, that brings me to my chapter question. How do you guys feel about the Edo Tensei? Is it an immoral jutsu, or does the outcome of using the jutsu justify using it? While you think that over, click here to watch this Naruto Explain video, or click here for this KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN video.